absolutely terrifying. A sound, a deep rumble, everything just flew. She said I didn't even manage to react, it was so incredibly frightening.
The explosion ripped through a busy market in Druzhkivka, eastern Ukraine, a place where civilians gather every morning. According to Ukrainian officials, Russian shelling struck directly at the market, killing at least 6 people and wounding others in seconds. Reports said the attack involved cluster munitions, weapons designed to spread destruction across wide areas. In a crowded civilian space, the impact was devastating. Burned stalls, shattered vehicles. Further south in Zaporizhzhia, Russian drone strikes hit a residential area, killing 2 teenagers, an 18-year-old girl and a young boy. 11 more were injured, including children. Video released by local authorities shows scorched cars and damaged homes. Overnight, strikes also hit the Black Sea port city of Odesa, damaging civilian infrastructure. Emergency services report at least 1 person injured. From the east to the south, the pattern is familiar, civilian areas absorbing the shock of a widening war. All this comes as diplomatic efforts struggle to gain traction. After a year of attempts, the Trump administration is still searching for a breakthrough, particularly on the most explosive issue: who controls Ukrainian land occupied by Russian forces? First round of talks in Abu Dhabi concluded today, involving trilateral discussions on security issues, but expectations remain low. The gap between battlefield realities and diplomatic language continues to grow. At the Kremlin, spokesman Dmitry Peskov offered few details, saying Moscow would not issue statements on the talks' outcome. He insists Russia remains open to peace, while stressing its position is already known to Kyiv and Washington.
They're receiving the information from the Russian side that the team that then they went to their leader, and they will come back with the feedback, and they will discuss this feedback. My team will be in touch with me. I'll connect with them, and we'll listen to what the Russians have brought. What compromises are they ready for? The signals must come not only about Ukraine. I think the group knows what to do. We must look for the dialogue, but nobody plans to surrender.
I think the president, Ukraine, is absolutely ready to play ball, to come to a deal with the Russians, which has to be, of course, acceptable for all parties, and particularly, of course, for Ukraine, no doubt. But, of course, this starts you to question, makes you question whether the Russians are serious. And let's hope they are. And I know the American president is doing everything he can to bring this terrible war to an end with his team, and I commend him for that. He's the only one who's able to do that. But last night is a really bad signal.
You're always with our state, and I'm very glad that you're with us at such a harsh moment, undoubtedly tough moment of this war, when the Russians have once again disregarded the efforts of the American side. There was a request from the President of the United States to refrain from strikes on energy and critical infrastructure, and you're aware of that, for the duration of the meetings of our negotiating teams. And the President of the United States said that strikes should be withheld for a week. It's very important, and it was an important decision. In practice, this began on Friday night, and last night the Russians, in our view, broke the promise that they've given. So either Russia now believes that a week consists of less than 4 days instead of 7, or they are really putting all their eggs in the basket of war. And they simply waited for the coldest days of this winter to come, when the temperatures across large parts of Ukraine are below -20 degrees Celsius. And I expect our partners not to remain silent about what's happening. It's critical for everyone to continue supporting the defense of our country and our people. It is Patriot systems that counter ballistic missiles the most effectively, and you're aware of that, and that means that missiles are needed, more missiles are needed, and the deliveries must be as prompt as possible.
Yes, I'm absolutely confident that the money will be there, because we all know it's crucial. We have now 2/3 of allies participating in the Pearl program, but you're right, there is an issue of burden sharing. And at the moment, some allies are doing a lot of allies are doing something, a few are doing nothing, but most are now involved in Pearl, but we need a better burden sharing within NATO. That's what we are working on. We know that some countries like the Canadians and the Norwegians and the Germans and the Dutch and the Danes, but also the Danes and the Norwegians and the Swedes together with the Baltic countries, they're doing quite a lot. We have other countries who are also doing relatively much, like Slovenia or Belgium, but still more can be done overall.
After the meeting in Abu Dhabi, the American side, in the end of the meeting, they have proposed such de-escalatory steps, that's what they called them, to not hit energy infrastructure. They've also raised the topics of not attacking other critical infrastructure, to be honest, but we saw that there were attacks on the railway and other facilities, but there were no attacks on energy for the most part, and the Americans thought that this will be in effect for a week. But if you look at such a peculiar thing, today they have attacked us. It was with 71 missiles and 450 drones, Shaheeds alone. If you look at the attack arsenal that the Russians wanted to use when the negotiations in Abu Dhabi have ended, then there was less of everything. So what they did, they delayed the attack, they've built up the amount of drones and missiles, and they attacked at the coldest days. So I couldn't say that somebody gifted us anything. I don't think that's what happened. Yes, President of the United States, and I believe that this was a very reasonable proposal. Let's demonstrate to the whole world and our societies that de-escalatory steps are taking place. Let's start this, let's implement this package of de-escalatory steps in between the meetings. And the Americans have suggested to have it until the next meeting. That's what was supposed to be. And then the parties would discuss other de-escalatory steps, such as ending the war, how we see the end of the war. The meeting, not on Ukrainian initiative, was delayed, appointed for Wednesday, Thursday, and you know that. It was delayed because of the reasons that came from another direction. And in our view, the demonstration of de-escalatory steps had to continue, carry on. Our team will be receiving the information from the Russian side that the team that then they went to their leader, and they will come back with the feedback, and they will discuss this feedback. My team will be in touch with me. I'll connect with them, and we'll listen to what the Russians have brought. What compromises are they ready for? The signals must come not only about Ukraine. I think the group knows what to do. We must look for the dialogue, but nobody plans to surrender.
I think the president, Ukraine, is absolutely ready to play ball, to come to a deal with the Russians, which has to be, of course, acceptable for all parties, and particularly, of course, for Ukraine, no doubt. But, of course, this starts you to question, makes you question whether the Russians are serious. And let's hope they are. And I know the American president is doing everything he can to bring this terrible war to an end with his team, and I commend him for that. He's the only one who's able to do that. But last night is a really bad signal.